Hello, travel friends. If you're watching this episode, that sort of means that you're probably scoundering YouTube and sort of just looking at like, oh, top 10 places to eat, what to eat, and all that. So we just wanted to add a few tips for just dining out in general in Greece so that you guys can make the most of your experience regardless of what your diet is, regardless of what your budget is. First thing we want to talk about is how easy is it to order in Greece if you don't know any Greek at all?
Very easy.
Yeah. Super
English.
easy. Yeah, super easy, especially if you're going to be in like the tourist centers.
If anything, you can point.
Right. Yeah, you can point to things. I think a good thing you can do is like you can look up food on like Google, or look up the restaurant on Google, or not Yelp, I guess, but just Google and like show them a picture of what you want to order.
Yeah, Google Translate. I think almost every single one of our menus was translated into English, or they just gave us an English menu.
Okay, the second tip we have is try Greek salads that I would say don't necessarily have feta cheese. Especially if you're in the US like us, you know a Greek salad as sort of cucumbers, tomatoes, some olive oil, maybe some other things in there, and some feta cheese sprinkled on top. But in Greece, there's actually quite a few Greek salads, right? I think like depends on like different regions of Greece. They come with like different cheeses.
Different like deconstructed salad. One looks like a giant crouton with the salad on top of it.
Highly recommend the traditional Greek salads, but definitely just like branch out. All of the salads are absolutely delicious.
Yes, and easily feed 2+ people.
Right.
Do not order one for just yourself.
Right. The portions are huge. Unless you're thinking about having that as your entire meal.
Yeah.
Right. Then order one, but otherwise totally shareable. Okay. Our third tip: bread is not free, and water is not free. Right?
Yeah.
Most people do order bottles of water, especially when you're on the islands. And I think in Athens, more people I think drink tap, or you can order tap. And then bread, even though they serve it to you, it's generally not free, right?
Yeah.
It's usually 1 or 2 euros. They'll just like put it on your table, not really talk to you about the charge, but just know that it's generally not free. I don't think it was free anywhere we ate at.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we just said no to bread because we wanted to make sure we filled up on Greek salad,
right? So
and all the other things that we'll discuss later.
Right. So if you're not eating the bread, you can definitely just say no, and then you'll save yourself, probably like 1 or 2 euros. So it's not too bad. All right. So bread, water. Let's talk about the wine. There's definitely a lot of wine in Greece, and a lot of restaurants will have a table wine offering, either red or white, in 250 mLs, 500 mLs, or 1,000 mLs, which is a liter.
Yeah, we made this mistake. So it's they serve it in these really cute kind of tin container jars, but it's very deceiving because it doesn't look as much as it actually is. So when we first got there, we ordered 1,000, and
for lunch.
And we were like, wow, Greek wine's really strong. For everyone that already maybe knows this, a normal bottle of wine is 750 mLs.
Right.
So we were drinking
over
a bottle and a third, basically.
Yeah, for lunch.
For lunch, and being like, yeah, this wine's strong. So that was a mistake that we made. And highly recommend the white wine. I think we really only had red wine in Athens.
Right. I would say that my understanding is that the white wine in Greece is better in generally than their red. When we went, we mostly just got white, mostly just because it was really hot outside. We went during the summer and it was just really hot, so white wine was the ticket.
Yeah, especially because on the islands we ate a lot of fish.
Right.
So it paired very well.
Espresso Freddo. Yes, espresso Freddo. So we are both, coffee drinkers. I would say we're both definitely coffee drinkers. And if you're a coffee drinker, espresso Freddo is like their coffee drink. My understanding of it is that it's basically 2 shots of espresso and they froth it. So they actually froth the coffee itself and then they pour it on ice. So I would consider it's very similar to a very strong Americano
Yeah.
or a more diluted or more mild espresso.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the ice dilutes it a little bit, so it gives you a little bit more of an Americano feel. Um, they'll ask if you want sugar. I don't recommend sugar. We both liked it without sugar. Most people that we saw never had sugar added.
Yes. So when you're ordering it, they'll ask you if you want sugar or not. And I think traditionally most people don't get it with sugar just because it mutes or distorts the coffee taste. But I would say that like if you are not used to strong coffee, it is strong, right? Like I wouldn't say it's a mild coffee at all. It's a pretty strong.
It's a strong Americano.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I think it's very different from your standard, like, well, you would know the Greek coffee, just regular, like, Greek coffee.
Right. So we actually didn't find that many places that served authentic Greek coffee. So yeah, basically all the locals we saw were drinking espresso Fritos.
Yeah.
I think everyone was drinking espresso Fritos. Like, especially if you go out in the morning to any cafe, you'll see lots of people drinking it, and you'll see lots of people getting it to go. It was like, it's like
everywhere.
It's like their morning drink.
I think it's also the only real iced coffee aside from that kind of frappuccino that we tried.
Right.
And again, we went in August. It was hot.
Yeah.
So I think everyone, like, most drinks that you would order don't even come with ice. So this might be the only thing that they do serve ice with as well.
But you'll see it. You'll see everyone drinking it, and they're all sort of drinking the same thing. Yeah. Let's talk about breakfast. Breakfast is not really a big thing in Greece. It's by big things I'm saying like a large American breakfast with like eggs, hash browns, sausage, bacon, stuff like that's not really a thing in Greece. Yeah, most of the time I think most of the time breakfast would just be a pastry or a piece of bread that you would just get and you would just like walk around. But it's not like a huge sit down thing in Greece.
Yeah. On that note, though, the bakeries were pretty great.
Oh yeah. The bakeries were really good.
Very good. You can get like your standard apple type pastry. I got a couple of those.
Like croissants or something.
Yeah, croissants. Something similar to a cinnamon roll.
They do a lot of pastries or baked goods with like phyllo dough, phyllo, something like that. It's like this like more flaky, buttery kind of dough, and it's just kind of like stuffed with various things like chicken. I think you like the one with apple. Spinach is a really popular one. Feta.
The spinach one was amazing. The feta ones, I tried a few. If you're used to a creamier cheese in a pastry, it was a little dry. I think we both agreed the feta one was. Yeah. It was a little tough to finish. Yeah. But the spinach one, I think, hands down, was my favorite.
Yeah, I think the spinach stuffed pastries. I mean, it was hard to go wrong with any of their spinach items. Period.
Yeah.
Anywhere we went. Oh, another tip that we have: cafes versus tavernas versus restaurants. Okay, so when you guys are going around Greece, you'll see that some are cafes, some are something taverna, something restaurant, and they sort of reflect like not only a different type of price point, but they also reflect like a different vibe, as well as what they offer. So cafes are usually drinks, coffees, some baked goods. It's like a snack.
Yeah, snack, light lunch,
right.
Grab and go type vibe.
Yeah. Tavernas are probably my favorite, probably our favorite places to eat. I would say they're very casual. I think those are the places you would just like take your friends, take your family.
These are your mom and pop restaurant. The first place we went to when we got to Naxos was a taverna. It was great. But also they'll offer, if you're open to trying new things, which we were, they'll tell you this is the best thing to order today. Right. So we actually did that. I think we did it with the house specialty lamb chops, right?
Lamb something. Yeah.
And it's just great. It's a more, I guess, traditional type vibe. If you want to feel like you're hanging out with locals and experiencing local cuisine, you should hit up the tavernas.
Yeah, I think that they were probably where we saw most of the locals eat at. If you want something more fancy, then that's when you would hit up the restaurants, right? They'll have a name and then they'll say restaurant. These are, I would say, not so much like fine dining, but more fine or finer.
Step up.
Yeah, like a step up from the tavernas. I would say that the presentation might be a little
Is
bit
more
better. If you're celebrating something, I would say
Yeah.
that you would probably hit a restaurant. If you were just like hanging out with your friends at night, then you'll probably hit up a taverna and then like chow down.
Where we had some trouble was, Jimmy's a big foodie. If there was a place he wanted to go, you can't just show up and expect to get seated, at least not during COVID.
Right.
They have a lot of things limited. So that is one thing if you are going to go out for like a nice
Right.
dinner date, or you want to go to one of the different towns on the island, do a little bit of research. You'll have to call, most likely, to make that reservation, or just go earlier in the day or the day before and try to make one.
Right. I would say that is like a major tip, is to make reservation. When we went, we didn't think that we needed reservations, right? We were like, oh yeah, all these restaurants will be open and less tourists, so of course they'll have space for us. But that wasn't true, because with COVID, even though you have less tourists, these restaurants also have a lot less capacity, right, than they used to. There's not as many availabilities inside the restaurant, and then also there's obviously safety precautions and everything indoors as well as outdoors. So less tourists, but also less capacity for the restaurants. So if you guys have a restaurant in mind that you just like, I have to eat here, then definitely make a reservation. But that said, there's tons of good restaurants, right? Like you're not gonna go hungry.
Yeah, you're also going to enjoy every meal. So
yeah, it's great.
as long as you kind of go with the flow and be flexible, it should work.
Right. All right, guys, that's it. Those are our dining tips for Greece. Hope they were valuable to you. And if you guys are going, enjoy your trip and eat well. All right. Till next time.
Bye.